Now today it is official. Take a look at the latest headlines with me. 700 Marines are now being deployed to Los Angeles. They're expected to arrive over the course of the next 24 hours. U.S. officials have confirmed this coming out in just about the past half an hour. I'm going to share with you the latest updated information so you can see it for yourself today, June 9th, 2025. And this comes as well as, take a look at this. Should Gavin Newsome be arrested for his handling of California? War of words between Trump and Newsome over L.A. protests escalate with arrest threats. Let me know. Should Newsome be arrested? If you think so, put yes. If you think no, put no. California Democratic governor calls it a step toward authoritarianism for the calls to arrest Gavin Newsome. And look at this. California sues Trump over the National Guard deployment to Los Angeles. Governor Gavin Newsome has argued that the deployment is an illegal act, an immoral act, an unconstitutional act. And also coming out in just about the past hour, more breaking news coming out today. Dozens of anti-ICE protesters busted at Trump Tower after a lobby takeover today as they chant, "Bring them home." So there is a lot unfolding today, June 9th, 2025. And let me know, should Gavin Newsome be arrested for his handling of California? There are calls for it. I'm going to play the video footage for you. Gavin Newsome saying, "Come and get me, tough guys." Gavin Newsome saying, "Come and arrest me. I'm ready." And this is happening while we're hearing that the feds, Donald Trump, they are deploying 700 Marines to go over to Los Angeles right now. So I'm going to cover for you the breaking news so you can see it for yourself. Before we dive in, I'm going to start off with video footage. Do me a quick favor. If you appreciate the updates, take a second, hit that like button. That helps spread this out further across the YouTube platform so more people can get the latest updated information. That simple gesture takes a second, helps out the channel a ton. To stay up to date, it's totally free. Why not? Hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. I'll keep you up to speed on all the breaking news like we're seeing today. And also, I cite all the sources, put it on the screen, read right from it. There's going to be hyperlinks to all of my sources coming out in just the past hour as things are escalating in California. And again, if you appreciate that, take a second, hit that like button for me. And I am seeing tons of yeses in the comments. I see John Jansen saying arrest his butt. Rick Kirshner is saying yes. Everyone is saying arrest Gavin Newsome right now. Let me go ahead and play for you the video footage so you can see it for yourself. Let's start off with the deployment of 700 Marines to California. Then we're going to get into the arrest of Gavin Newsome.
First of all, starting with the fact that authorities are telling, U.S. officials are telling our team at the Pentagon, again, they confirmed 700 Marines. They're coming from 29 Palms in California. They've been ordered to assist in Los Angeles. They think they're going to be here in the next 24 hours. What's your assessment of that move there?
It's a little surprising for me. I didn't see that coming, but we talked about it, but I didn't think it would happen. So it's a little surprising that it has. Mr. Heggs has said it, and now they're deploying. Generally speaking, in these type of situations, we just use the National Guard. And I'll tell you, Kana, we've used them time and time again in New York and around the country. They've used them as well. They come in and they stabilize. So if you have government property or government operations going on, they'll stabilize that by standing guard. So that's what I think the Marines will do. That's what the National Guard is doing. I don't think it'll go any further than that. And here's an issue here going forward into the evening. Right now they're in the afternoon there, but if you're going forward in the evening, you have a police chief who said he was overwhelmed. He needs help. Hopefully he's getting that. You also have a federal officers assaulted on Saturday, which really started the ratchet this thing, as well as prosecutors. We see something going on. It's not over yet. Hopefully this will end peaceably, and tonight will be a different story than it was last night, with all the property damage, the back and forth against the police. Two different strategies going forward, but now with this extra deployment here, I think they're just going to solidify government buildings. Is my guess now.
Which is what we've heard the National Guard troops would do as well, to really protect those federal buildings. But you touched on a couple of things here that I do want to highlight. One, we know at least 5 officers were injured. Another thing that we heard from the police chief as well, though, in Los Angeles, he said that days 2 and 3 in a civil unrest generally tend to turn more violent. So it sounds like that's something that we saw last night. Do you think that moving into day 4 today, we might see a change there, and that it may not get so violent tonight?
No, listen, the chief is, if you don't stem that the first night with significant deployment, you're going to have day 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you have to go out there immediately when this happens and kind of stem this violence here. So I don't think it's going to get any better than last night. Hopefully he has a resource. And it's really important to understand what you're seeing right now. This is just, you have people presently, not yesterday, but presently just protesting in an orderly fashion, no problems, First Amendment, everybody's fine with that. At nighttime is a different strategy. You have people come out looking for trouble, which is what they had last night. So he needs a different strategy. I hope he has to replace. I hope he has the extra resources, because yesterday he did a great job in clearing out that area.
And our reporters on the ground really saw the same thing. They saw protests and they saw the tide really turn as the sun started to fall. Different people showed up. They were wearing different things. They were prepared in a different way. And so we'll certainly be watching closely to see how this unfolds today. Melissa, our thanks to you, and Robert, our thanks to you as always. We'll be checking in with you throughout the day.
There you have it, you guys. 700 Marines deployed to California, going to be arriving in the next 24 hours. Orders to assist with the rioters in Los Angeles to stop this. And I've got a bunch of people in the comments saying, arrest Gavin Newsome, as we're going to be taking a look at that here in just a second, as well as there is talk about that is exploding as well. But very quickly, before we get to the footage of Gavin Newsome, the threats to have him arrested and his response, take a look at this with me really quickly here. You can see here, this is the breaking news coming out. LA immigration protests, live updates. 700 Marines are being deployed to Los Angeles as we speak. They're expected to arrive over the next 24 hours. U.S. officials have confirmed. Now you can see this just coming out. Tensions are escalating in Los Angeles as protests against immigration and customs enforcement grip the city, with demonstrators clashing with the law enforcement and setting vehicles on fire in the downtown. Now, the president, Donald Trump, has deployed 2,000 National Guardsmen to address the lawlessness. White House Press Secretary Karen Levitz said, but Governor Gavin Newsome of California asked the administration to rescind the deployment, saying that Trump is trying to manufacture a crisis and that the president is hoping for chaos so that way he can justify more crackdowns, more fear, and more control. Man, let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you support what Donald Trump is doing, drop a 47 in the comments. If you don't, drop a 46 for the previous administration. Governor Gavin Newsome is saying that Trump is trying to manufacture a crisis, but you've seen the video footage of the riots taking place. Let me know your thoughts. Is he manufacturing it, or is he trying to stop it? Drop a 47 if you support Donald Trump. Key headlines. 12 minutes ago, Trump says that Newsome should be happy that he has sent the National Guard. 24 minutes ago, the National Guard is armed, but no bullets in the chambers. 33 minutes ago. So again, I'm telling you guys, this is live coming out just 33 minutes ago. This has not even been announced more than an hour of the time of this recording. 700 Marines have been deployed to Los Angeles. They're going to arrive in the next 24 hours. 54 minutes ago, Trump says if protesters spit at National Guardsmen, they will be hit. So this is unfolding in just the past hour. Things are escalating. So 12 minutes ago, Trump says that Newsome should be happy that he has sent in the National Guards. President Donald Trump is defending his decision to send the National Guard into Los Angeles and said California Governor Gavin Newsome should be happy. He should only be happy that I sent in the military, because if I didn't send them and you would have had a problem. They are the likes of which we haven't seen in a long time, Trump said at a roundtable on Monday today. Now, Trump implied that the situation in LA is improving. It's lucky for the people in Los Angeles and in California that we did what we did. We got in just in time, Trump said. It's still simmering a little bit, but not very much. Now, the National Guard is armed, but no bullets in the chambers. The National Guardsmen on active duty in Los Angeles are carrying weapons, but don't have rounds in the chambers. And they aren't using rubber bullets or pepper spray, according to the U.S. officials. 700 Marines 33 minutes ago have been deployed to Los Angeles. 700 Marines in California have been ordered to assist in Los Angeles, and they're expected to arrive over the course of the next 24 hours, a U.S. official has confirmed. The Marines are from the 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines at 29 Palms, California, whom U.S. Northern Command had said Sunday were on a prepared-to-deploy status. If the Defense Department needed them, we're hearing that call has just been made. Minutes before the Marines' deployment was confirmed, President Donald Trump was asked by ABC News if he planned on sending Marines to L.A., and he said, "We'll see what happens. I think we have it very well under control, Trump said. I think it would have been a very bad situation. It was heading in the wrong direction. It's now heading in the right direction, he said. And 54 minutes ago, Trump says that if protesters spit on National Guardsmen, they will be hit. And if you agree with that call by Donald Trump, don't forget to drop that 47 if you support what he's doing. And take a second and hit that like button for me. Help spread this out further. President Donald Trump wrote on Truth Social that if the protesters spit in the faces of National Guardsmen in Los Angeles, they'll be hit harder than they have ever been hit before. If they spit, we will hit, Trump wrote. Such disrespect will not be tolerated. The insurrectionists have a tendency to spit in the face of the National Guardsmen and women and others. These patriots are told to accept this. It's just the way life runs, but not in the Trump administration, Trump has said. California Governor Gavin Newsome said in a response to Trump's post, "You sent your troops here without fuel, food, water, or a place to sleep. The guardsmen are forced to sleep on the floors, piled up on top of one another," Newsome wrote in a social media post. "If anyone is treating our troops disrespectfully, it is you, Donald Trump." Wow. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And again, if you support what Donald Trump is doing, drop a 47 in the comments. He is saying send over Marines today. 700 Marines are going to be sent to California. He's also calling for the arrest of Gavin Newsome. Take a look at this headline with me, and we're going to watch some video footage on this here right now. War of words between Donald Trump and Newsome over the LA protests escalate to arrest threats. California Democratic governor calls it a step toward authoritarianism. Man, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But let's take a look at some of the video footage so that way you can see it for yourself. And again, if this is your first time here and you want to stay up to date, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button for me if you appreciate the updates. And let's go ahead and take a look.
So anti-ICE rioters in LA blocking the highway and setting fire to the city in protest of Trump's administration's illegal immigration crackdown.
Jonathan Hunt is live outside of the Metro Detention Center in downtown Los Angeles with the latest. Jonathan?
Ainsley, Lawrence, Brian, good morning to all of you once again. Yeah, we're outside the Metropolitan Detention Center right here in downtown LA. Still a very tense scene on the streets here. You can see the police cars lined up as they are at various intersections all around downtown LA right now as a result of what we have witnessed over the last few days. It all began, of course, on Friday with those ICE raids targeting illegal immigrants. That sparked the initial protests that we saw here. And then on Saturday, there was even more protest sparked by ICE activity in the city of Paramount. That's about 25 miles south of downtown LA. And with the protesters then clashing with federal agents, President Trump said he would call in the National Guard, federalizing members of the National Guard here in California and sending them to LA. By Sunday morning, they were on the streets of LA in their hundreds, and thousands of protesters turned out to greet them. That's when things turned, of course, extremely violent. We saw the American flag burned. We saw Waymo, which are the robo-taxis, the self-driving taxis that are a common sight on the streets of LA, set on fire, at least 3 of them, very close to the 101 freeway, which was completely shut down in both directions for a time because of those thousands of protesters. They were met with smoke grenades, tear gas, and some rubber bullet rounds fired by law enforcement. The LAPD was on scene heavily on Sunday, having been criticized for a slow response on Friday. And President Trump said, having sent the National Guard in here, he would be perfectly willing to send a lot more troops if necessary. Here's the president.
What is the bar for sending Marines?
What I think it is, I mean, if we see danger to our country and to our citizens, we'll be very, very strong in terms of law and order. It's about law and order.
Accuracy reads on the table, sir. Secretary,
We got to see what we need. We'll send whatever we need to make sure there's law and order.
Now, California Governor Gavin Newsome wrote in protest to the president and also posted on X saying, quote, "I have formally requested the Trump administration rescind their unlawful deployment of troops in Los Angeles County and return them to my command." I think the answer we can safely say to that is going to be a flat no from President Trump. He, in fact, has indicated he is willing to keep the National Guard here and bolster their ranks for up to 60 days if he feels it is necessary. I can also tell you guys there is another protest plan to gather in Grand Park, just a couple of blocks from where I am right now, at 11 a.m. local time today. That's 2 p.m. Eastern time. So those protesters not letting up either. This is going to remain an extremely tense situation on the streets of Los Angeles. Lawrence Ainsley, Brian?
Jonathan, any sense of how many of these protesters are illegals? Do you get the sense that this is
good question?
This is illegals trying to stay here, or do you think it's just people creating anarchy?
I think you have a complete mixture of all of those things. Frankly, Brian, I think a lot of illegal immigrants would not be showing up to these protests simply because of the danger they would face of arrest. I think what you have are a lot of supporters of those illegal immigrants, a lot of pro-immigration activists, and then, as the LAPD chief Jim McDonnell himself said, you have a lot of people who have very little to do with the cause of immigration, but are here simply because this is, in the words of the LAPD chief, what they do. They turn up for these protests and riots. They turned up for the George Floyd protests and riots. They've turned up for the anti-Wall Street protests and riots. And according to the police chief, they see a lot of the same faces turning up, organizing here, and according to the police chief, they are the ones engaging in most of the violence over the last few days, Brian.
Well, yeah, because there was never any consequences. Thanks, Jonathan. In 2020, they never got arrested. There was no criminal prosecution.
They were applauded.
Exactly. So you got the same people showing up to every movement with the keffiyehs, yet again, the same people that mark it in the middle of the street. You got the COVID masks that are on as well. And they say they're afraid of the police, remember, but they're throwing bricks at them. They're setting stuff on fire. This doesn't look like people that are afraid of the police. These are people that feel empowered. This is why the president has to crack down and deal with it. Gavin Newsome has had years to deal with these people, and they've been free to do whatever they want. And now the hammer is being dropped.
Well, it's the Democrats that have demonized ICE agents, called them fascists. And so the individuals hear that, they go out and protest. It doesn't make sense. You would think that the governor would want federal agents or troops, National Guard, to be sent in to help his police officers, because the LA police chief said, we're overwhelmed. They're using cinder blocks and hammers. They're throwing these at our cars and at our police officers. That we've even had liquid, who knows what, thrown at our officers. They shut down the 101 freeway. You can't do that.
Meanwhile, it's become mini Mexico. That's why the flags, these people are proud of it. They don't understand that it's hurting their cause, but they're not thinking about that.
And now Gavin Newsome wants to sue Donald Trump.
Right.
That's supposed to come down today.
And he's trying to stop, he's trying to stop the whole presence of the National Guard.
So violent anti-ICE protests raging across L.A., burning U.S. flags, setting cars on fire, and throwing rocks at the police to protest the arrest of illegal migrants, including child abuse and murder suspects. But California Democrats like Kamala Harris, Mayor Karen Bass, and Governor Newsome are blaming the Trump administration for the chaos. Borders our Tom Holman joins us now.
So is this up to date?
Mostly.
And my last...
So, Tom, you've been leading these operations. And so instead of criticizing the people that are attacking our agents, you got Gavin Newsome, who has called for you to arrest him, and you got Maxine Waters, who is going after the National Guard. Watch this.
He's a tough guy. Why doesn't he do that? He knows where to find me. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn. But I care about my community, and I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So, Tom, arrest me.
What are you going to do? You going to shoot some kid? He's afraid of getting run? You going to shoot an elected official? If you shoot me, you better shoot straight. I don't know why you're in my city. You did. The governor was not contacted.
Tom, what's your response?
Well, first of all, it's just ridiculous. That reporter from SMBC, he's a joke. He's a dishonest reporter. What we discussed was, for those protesters that cross the line, I've said it many times, you can protest, you got your First Amendment rights. But when you cross that line, you put hands on an ICE officer, or you destroy property, or I said that you're impede law enforcement, or you're knowingly harboring, concealing illegal alien, that's a crime. And the Trump administration is not going to tolerate it. You cross that line, we're going to seek prosecution in the Department of Justice. Then the reporter asked me, well, could Governor Newsome or Mayor Bass be arrested? I said, well, no one's above the law. If they cross the line and commit a crime, absolutely they can. So there was no discussion about arresting Newsome. And so, what he's done, he's failed that state. He waited 2 days of that city burning and people getting hurt, officers being assaulted, before he made any declaration of an unlawful assembly. He's late to the game. President Trump isn't late to the game. Men and women of ICE are not late to the game. And let's make this clear. I keep hearing this term ICE raids, ICE raids. What happened with how this riot started is that ICE was serving a series of criminal warrants at a business being investigated for money laundering, customs fraud, and serious violations on sending money to criminal cartels that in Colombia and Mexico that fund criminal cartel activities in the United States. It's a part of an overall conspiracy that ICE is investigating. So we're arresting bad people. We were enforcing laws and following up on a serious criminal investigation on cartel financing. So that's exactly what ICE did. And ICE took a lot of bad people off the street that day. We arrested a sexual predator, arrested gang members, arrested somebody that had an armed robbery conviction. So we made LA safer. The men and women at ICE, the men and women at the Border Patrol made LA safer that day. But you're not hearing any of this. All you hear is a rhetoric about ICE being racist, about ICE being Nazis and terrorists. And Governor Newsom feeds that. Just like Hakeem Jeffrey feeds it, that he's going to unmask ICE agents. And the members of Congress who keep feeding this rhetoric, they're the ones that are causing this riot, because they don't listen to the truth about what the men and women at ICE are doing. We're keeping our promise to American people to make these streets safe again. And that's exactly what we're going to do, and we're not going to stop doing it.
Tom, who gave the stand-down order from the LAPD? When your federal agents were being surrounded, and you know the call, you were a local cop before you were a federal agent. When a cop says officer assist across the radio that they're surrounded, everyone in the surrounding area is supposed to respond. So who told the LA cops not to respond?
Well, the LA police chief, he works for the mayor of Los Angeles. That's Karen Bass. And they were delayed. They were very delayed in responding to the call for assistance. Like I was here, and it had over 1,000 protesters at the federal building trying, and they breached it several times. Luckily, they were able to push them back, and that put the officers at great risk. It put the detainees that we had in custody at great risk. So again, this is just a false narrative being pushed by the left and being pushed by even members of Congress about the men and women of ICE being Nazis and terrorists, and that we're out arresting innocent women and children. Everybody we arrested, everybody we're looking for, they got a final order removal. They've had the due process. That's what they keep shouting about. They demand due process. They had the due process. A judge, a federal judge, has ordered them removed. Our job is to execute that order, right? So you got Congress who made the laws that we're following. You have a judge that orders them removed. So we're executing removal orders. ICE is doing the job that American people want them to do. We're making America safe again, one illegal criminal at a time, and that's what we're doing in LA.
So, Tom, the travel ban is set to go into effect today. Over a dozen countries are on that list, including Venezuelan nationals. Tell me about this travel ban. What is it going to do to stop the travel coming across this country to illegal immigrants?
Yeah, before I got that, let me just mention this. God bless President Trump for sending the National Guard. The National Guard here is to protect property, protect life, protect our officers, and protect civilians. You've seen the video. This city's burning. It's out of control because of the weak leadership of Democrats here in the state and frankly, in the United States Congress. So I salute President Trump for sending the National Guard to protect life and property. And the travel ban is exactly what it should be doing. In the countries that are being targeted on this, do not do proper vetting before the issue visas come to this country. This is about protecting America, right? We spent 4 years, got over 2 million known gotaways, How many of them came from a terrorist a country that sponsors terrorism? We don't know. President Trump has taken every step possible to protect this nation from a terrorist attack and from other criminal activity that crosses our border and comes into the visa program. So this is simply making these countries step up and doing the right thing. When you send someone and give someone a visa and they enter the United States, we want proper vetting done before they come here. That's what this is about.
Tom, I got only a few seconds left, but I got to get your reaction to Kilmar Obrego Garcia. They wanted him back, they got him back, but he's been indicted on 2 counts. 1 count of conspiracy of unlawful transport of illegal alien for financial gain, maximum imprisonment, 10 years. You got count 2, unlawful transportation of an illegal alien for financial gain. How serious are these charges, real quick?
They're real serious, and we're going to bring back, we're going to criminally prosecute him, we're going to put him in prison. And when he gets done with his prison sentence, he's going to be deported right back to his homeland.
There you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts if you support Tom Homan and Donald Trump and what they are doing with this and sending over 700 Marines to the California state to go ahead and address the rioters. And if you also agree with, hey, arrest Gavin Newsome, and you saw his response right there. If you agree with everything the Trump administration and Tom Homan is doing right now, drop a 47 in the comments, and do me a favor, hit that like button. Helps spread this live stream out further across the YouTube platform right now. Just takes a second, helps out a ton. But take a look at the headlines. As I mentioned, right now we're hearing that there's a war of words between Donald Trump and Gavin Newsome over the LA protests that are escalating with arrest threats. Now, Gavin Newsome says this is a step toward authoritarianism. And as I mentioned to you earlier in the live stream, coming out live just a little while ago, actually just 33 minutes ago from the time of going live, we're hearing 700 Marines have been deployed to Los Angeles. Now, we're going to be taking a look at some more video footage here in just a second as Newsome is saying, come and get me, come and arrest me. And they're saying, maybe we will. But take a look at this article coming out just in the past couple of hours. All of this coming out today, June 9th, 2025, breaking news. President Donald Trump and California's Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom escalate their confrontation on Monday today over the handling of protests in Los Angeles over the federal government's immigration crackdown. Now, the article says Trump, arriving back at the White House after spending the weekend at Camp David, told reporters that he would arrest Newsom if he were border czar Tom Homan. So he is saying, I recommend we arrest Gavin Newsom. And if you agree, like I said, drop a 47 or put a yes and hit that like button. Hours after Homan said that there has been no discussions about arresting Newsom at this time. I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great, Trump told reporters. Newsom quickly fired back. The President of the United States just called for the arrest of a sitting governor, Newsom posted on Instagram, along with a video of Trump's comments. This is a day I hoped I would never see in America. I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. This is a line that we cannot cross as a nation. This is an unmistakable step toward authoritarianism, Newsom said regarding Trump's post. Just hours before Trump spoke, Homan himself had pushed back on the idea that he was going to arrest Newsom and Los Angeles Mayor's Karen Bass, both Democrats. Actually had a lot of people mention that yesterday as we were covering the live footage of the riots, people saying, arrest Newsom, arrest Bass. Trump said, I think it's a great idea, and if I were Tom Homan, I would do it myself. In an interview with NBC News over the weekend, Homan had not ruled out the possibility, prompting Newsom to respond, he knows where to find me. Gavin Newsom saying Homan knows where to come and get me if they want to arrest me. Homan on Monday morning today, during an interview with Fox, commented further on his remarks to NBC. The reporter asked about, could Governor Newsom or Mayor Bass be arrested? And I said, well, no one's above the law. If they cross the line and they commit a crime, absolutely they can. So there was no discussion about arresting Newsom, he said. I've said it many times. You can protest, you got your First Amendment rights, but when you cross that line, you put hands on an ICE officer or you destroy property or ICE says that you've impeded law enforcement, that's a crime. And that the Trump administration is not going to tolerate. You cross that line, we're going to see prosecution in the Department of Justice, Homan said. Trump on Monday today also doubled down on his decision over the weekend to deploy the National Guard to California over objections from Governor Gavin Newsom. And we're also hearing, as I mentioned, just about 30 minutes ago from the time of this recording, LA immigration protests live updates, 700 Marines have been deployed to Los Angeles. And now we're also hearing California Governor Gavin Newsome is going to be suing Donald Trump for the National Guard deployment. And also, just breaking a little while ago, we're also hearing Trump Tower has been targeted as well by these protesters. But let's go ahead and take a look at some more video footage so that way you can see it for yourself. What is going on today, June 9th? A lot unfolding as we're hearing Marines are being deployed. Calls for the arrest of Gavin Newsome are taking place at this very moment. Let's go ahead and take a look.
What you're looking at on your screen right now is a live aerial look from Skyfox over downtown Los Angeles, where there is still that heavy police presence right now as folks are essentially dispersing. They have been told that they need to leave as unlawful assembly has been declared by the LAPD and other law enforcement. However, some folks are still staying there and are refusing to leave, and as you see on your screen, even setting fire to more objects there. That appears to be a trash fire that was set just now, moments ago. However, we know that several dumpsters were set on fire a bit earlier. Now, President Trump, as you heard, was speaking a lot about his conversations there with Gavin Newsome. And I do want to talk a little bit about that because California's Democrat governor responded to President Trump deploying National Guard members to LA, calling it a, quote, serious breach of state sovereignty. And hours after sending a letter requesting the president remove the Guard members, Governor Newsome took to social media posting this on X. Let me pull this up for you right now and give you a look at his comments. Very brief once again, but he did say Trump's border czar is threatening to arrest me for speaking out. Come and get me, tough guy. I don't give a damn. It won't stop me from standing up for California. Moments later, we also heard from President Trump on Truth Social very early this morning. He said, quote, looking really bad in LA. Bring in the troops. Arrest the people in face masks now. Again, we do have this live image that we've been keeping a look at from Skyfox, one of the few that are still up at this hour, because we are not going anywhere until we see how everything does play out here. It does appear the crowds have dispersed, but for the most part, you can see there is still a bit of activity. We're taking a look on your screen as they do zoom in. Looks like that is a heavy law enforcement presence, but I'm not quite clear if they're running towards somebody or if they're just walking in formation. But you can also see the flashing lights there in the distance as crews are working to make sure that everything does return to normal and everybody does stay safe.
There you have it, you guys. Let's go ahead and take a look at some more video footage. This is Donald Trump yesterday responding regarding Gavin Newsome.
Are you prepared to invoke the Insurrection Act?
Depends on whether or not there's an insurrection. No, but you got violent people, and we're not going to let them get away with it. I think that you're going to see some very strong law and order. Last night in Los Angeles, we watched it very closely. There was a lot of violence there. There was a lot of violence, and it could have gotten much worse. And you have an incompetent governor. Just take a look at the train stations that he's building. Like 20 times over budget. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. So I did call him the other night. I said, look, you got to take care of this. Otherwise, I'm sending in the troops. That's what we did.
There you have it, you guys. And we're hearing that he did just about a half an hour ago, maybe now an hour ago, because we've been live for a half an hour. He has sent 700 Marines, deployed them to go address the conflict going on in California. Now, in addition to that, we're hearing that Gavin Newsome is not happy about that, and he is saying that Trump is overstepping his position as president, and he is impeding upon California's sovereignty. If you agree with Donald Trump and what he's doing, drop a 47. If not, put a 46 for the previous administration, like I said. But take a look at this. As you were putting in those 47s and 46s, California now sues Trump over National Guard deployment to Los Angeles. Governor Gavin Newsome has argued that the deployment is an illegal act and is an immoral act and an unconstitutional act. Wow. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But take a look at this. California sued the Trump administration Monday today over its order to deploy 2,000 California National Guard troops to Los Angeles without the governor's consent, a move with little precedent that has dramatically increased tensions between the federal government and the Democratic-led state, the most populous in the United States. The lawsuit argues that President Donald Trump overstepped his authority when he called upon the National Guard in defiance of California Governor Gavin Newsome, invoking a law that allows the president to do so under threat from a foreign invasion or rebellion against the U.S. government. Let me be clear. There is no invasion. There is no rebellion. California Attorney General Rob Bonta said in a statement, "The president is trying to manufacture chaos and crisis on the ground for his own political ends." The lawsuit contends that Trump's move illegally infringed upon Newsome's role as the commander-in-chief of the California National Guard. The White House did not immediately respond to a request for comment on the lawsuit, but during a White House event shortly after the announcement of the lawsuit, Trump hailed his order to deploy troops. "They really helped," Trump said. The suit comes 2 days after Trump announced the extraordinary deployment in response to protests against immigration raids in Los Angeles' area that have turned violent at times. It marked the first time in about 60 years that an American president had made such a decision without a governor's consent. During a news conference Monday, Bonta said that Trump's administration jumped from 0 to 60, bypassing law enforcement, expertise, and evaluation. They threw caution to the wind and sidelined strategy in an unnecessary and inflammatory escalation that only further spread unrest, Bonta said. Trump has argued that the federal intervention is necessary because Democratic leaders in California are not acting urgently enough to quell the protests. Newsom, who has previously clashed with Trump, has argued that the state can handle the protests on its own and echoed Bonta in contending that the deployment is only inflaming the situation. Newsom, a potential 2028 presidential candidate, previewed the lawsuit Sunday during an MSNBC interview. "Trump's putting fuel on this fire. Ever since he announced that he was taking over the National Guard, an illegal act, an immoral act, an unconstitutional act," Newsom said, adding that his state would test that theory with a lawsuit tomorrow. In ordering the deployment, Trump cited a section of federal law that says that the president can call up members of a state National Guard if there is a foreign invasion, if there is a rebellion against the government, or if the president is unable with a regular forces to carry out the laws. Bonta on Monday expressed confidence in the lawsuit, saying that he did not think the issue would be a very close call for the courts. But he also acknowledged that Trump was relying on a statute that has not faced much judicial scrutiny before. It's been rarely used for good reason, because the conditions set forth that trigger its use are rare and infrequent and do not exist here, Bonta said. Newsom already formally asked the Trump administration to rescind the deployment. He did so in a letter Sunday to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth that began to lay out legal arguments for how the deployment was hurting the state. There is currently no need for the National Guard to be deployed in Los Angeles, and to do so in this unlawful manner and for such a lengthy period is a serious breach of the state sovereignty that seems intentionally designed to inflame the situation while simultaneously depriving the state from deploying these personnel and resources where they are truly required, Newsom told Hegseth. Bonta said Monday that Newsom's request to Hegseth was ignored. The Pentagon chief was shown no signs of backing down and has threatened the deployment of more troops to Los Angeles. U.S. Northern Command said Sunday that approximately 500 Marines stationed in Southern California are ready to deploy to L.A. if needed, and as I shared with you in about the past hour, we've heard 700 are now on their way. All Newsom's fellow Democratic governors came to his defense in a joint statement on Sunday, calling the deployment an alarming abuse of power. Governors are the commanders-in-chief of their National Guards, and the federal government activating them in their own borders without consulting or working with the state governor is ineffective and dangerous, the governor said. Wow, there you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Now, in addition to that, we've got some more video footage regarding the lawsuit and him saying this is pouring fuel on the fire. This coming out today, June 9th, 2025. Let's go ahead and take a look so that way you can see it for yourself.
So Fox News alert, California Governor Gavin Newsome says he's going to file a lawsuit against the Trump administration today after the president sent in the National Guard to control anti-ICE rioters like these, setting fires and confronting the police with blocks.
Donald Trump has created the conditions you see on your TV tonight. He's exacerbated the conditions. He's, lit the proverbial match. He's putting fuel on this fire ever since he announced he was taking over the National Guard. An illegal act, an immoral act, an unconstitutional act, and we're going to test that theory with a lawsuit tomorrow.
So joining us now, Fox News contributor Jonathan Turley. Jonathan, Professor, thanks so much for joining the program. So I want you to give me the legal response to Gavin Newsome saying he's going to file this lawsuit. The federal agents requested help. They didn't get help, so the president sent in the National Guard. Does he have any standing in court?
Well, what Newsome is arguing is that technically the request had to go through his office and require his calling out the National Guard. Whether that is enough for a federal court to delay the implementation of the order, we'll have to see. Certainly, there have been plenty of these cases where they have forum shopped, found very favorable judges. But in the end, the president has the authority to call out the National Guard, and it will happen. In fact, what Newsome is doing is going to escalate it further. You know, the president is operating under Title 10, which allows him to call out the National Guard to enforce federal law. That's what they did during the desegregation period when local authorities refused to comply with federal law. Does that sound familiar?
That's right.
And with the administration is saying, we're going to do the same thing. It can escalate with a thing called the Insurrection Act, where the president can actually use National Guard where there's an insurrection. I don't think we are really looking at that. I hope we're not. But when we talk about escalation, you need to look at these officials. They're the ones that have spent months escalating the rhetoric, calling the ICE agents fascists and saying that they're Nazis and that calling out for people to resist this. What do you think is going to happen when you spend months and months telling people that these are just fascists in ICE uniforms? So it is coming to a head, but what Newsome is doing could well escalate it further.
So this is what the Democrats are also saying about the National Guard. Let's play it.
For the president to do this when it wasn't requested, breaking with generations of tradition, is only going to incite the situation and make things worse.
My understanding is that the governor of California, the mayor of the city of Los Angeles, did not request the National Guard, but he thinks he has a right to do anything he wants.
Well, I've spoken to the sheriffs on the ground who have said they have things under control. There's no need for the National Guard. They have the manpower that they need. So this is really just an escalation of the president.
You know, Jonathan, let's just talk about that last comment there. Does it appear to be under control? I mean, legally is one thing, but I mean, we do have eyes. We can see that it's clearly been spinning out of control.
That's right. And having federal personnel there also takes some control out of the hands of local DAs. If they attack federal agents and military personnel, those are also federal offenses that can be prosecuted by the U.S. Attorney's Office. Now, they have some room to do that already, but it certainly improves that in terms of possible prosecutions. But we've seen this with the Rodney King riots and these almost periodic outbursts in L.A. The president is saying we're not going to go down that road. We're not going to go down the road summers ago when in Wisconsin, Minnesota, where we had billions of dollars of property damage. So, look, the president has authority here. He can flood the zone even without the National Guard. But this will have to work out in court. But I think the escalation here began long ago when they demonized ICE, called them fascists, seemed to rationalize every possible attack. What do you think is going to happen? Just look at your screens. That's what happened.
So they also have been defending the criminals as well, which is what this operation was about in Los Angeles. The other criminal was Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He's back in the country. He's been indicted by a grand jury. Professor, have you had the opportunity to read that indictment? What do you make of it? Does it have a lot of teeth?
Well, this is not the guy that National Public Radio described as living quietly in Maryland. I mean, the indictment is really incredible reading, about over 100 trips, and the allegation that he was a central part in a massive human smuggling operation. The irony here, Lawrence, is that the United States is now the last place Abrego Garcia wants to be. He's like a runner caught between first and second. He's going to get tagged out either way, but by getting back to second, he's looking at over a decade of jail potentially.
It was a dumb move, and now he's going to face the piper here in our country. Jonathan, thanks so much for your analysis. We appreciate it.
There you have it, you guys. Man, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below as we're hearing that things are escalating. Donald Trump is calling for the arrest of Gavin Newsome, said, I would do it if I were Tom Homan. And right now we're also hearing, take a look at this, more breaking news coming out today. It is just coming out today left and right. June 9th, 2025. Dozens of anti-ICE protesters busted at Trump Tower after a lobby takeover, shouting, bring them home. And again, you can see here, 3:31 Eastern Standard Time. So less than 2 hours ago, this coming out here, about 24 anti-ICE protesters swarmed the lobby of Trump Tower in Manhattan on Monday and were busted after refusing to leave. The mostly gray-haired crowd sat together on the ground chanting, bring them back, bring them home, as the NYPD cops descended on the Fifth Avenue skyscraper tower at 1 p.m. And you can see here them arresting these protesters taking over Trump Tower. Here's some more photos of them. It says the group called for the release of inmates from the notorious hellhole prison CCOT in El Salvador, where migrants were deported from the U.S. and even dangerous American citizens convicted of heinous crimes are held in overcrowded cells. We are demanding that the administration bring back everyone from CCOT to the United States, release them, ICE custody, return them to their homes and families, and allow them their day in court, demanded a woman leading the protest. So again, this is all surrounding illegal immigration and what is taking place right now. And the protests are happening in Los Angeles for this as well. The NYPD confirmed that the protests were given multiple orders. The protesters were given multiple orders to disperse from the lobby, but they refused to comply. The audio recording with the message, "This is the New York City Police Department. You are occupying these premises unlawfully and without permission. I am ordering you to leave the premises now. If you refuse to leave, you may be subject to arrest," played before the police began placing the crew in zip-tie handcuffs. Now, the NYPD said that the group was given multiple orders to disperse and refused to comply. Sources say that 24 demonstrators were rounded up by the NYPD. Charges were not immediately filed. Wow. So there you have it, you guys. A lot unfolding today, June 9th, 2025. We are hearing that there are currently 700 Marines that are being deployed to Los Angeles to address what is taking place right now. They will be arriving in the next 24 hours. In addition to that, we are also hearing war of words. Trump is calling for a threat to arrest Gavin Newsome. Gavin Newsome saying this is a step toward authoritarianism. In addition to that, we're hearing that California is planning to sue Donald Trump over the National Guard deployment to Los Angeles. Gavin Newsome says the deployment is an illegal act, an immoral act, and an unconstitutional act. And as I mentioned, we're also hearing just in about the past couple of hours that Trump Tower was overtaken by protesters as well. So a lot going on today. And let me know your thoughts again in the comments. Should Gavin Newsome be arrested for his handling of the protests, the riots in LA? If you think so, put yes. If you think no, put no. And do me a favor, if you haven't done so yet, hit that like button. Subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. I'm going to keep you up to speed on everything that's going on. There is a lot unfolding. I will keep you up to speed every step of the way. As you guys know, here on the channel, I cite all of the sources. So all these articles that I'm referencing, they're going to be linked in the description down below. You can click them, go read them for yourself, see the sources, see the dates. And I'm going to play the videos, put it on the screen so you can see it and know that it is the latest. Try to hold myself to the highest level of accountability. And again, if you appreciate that, do me a favor, hit that like button. Subscribe to stay up to date. And as more comes out, I will keep you up to speed. And I'll let you know where we're going to be going from here. As we have just heard, 700 Marines have now been deployed along with the National Guard to California, and calls to arrest Governor Gavin Newsom And I am seeing yeses pouring in. People are saying in the comments, arrest Governor Gavin Newsom. We will see. I will keep you guys up to date every step of the way. But that is the latest, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.